What up, peeps? We back. Alright, as y'all saw in the title, it's about to get real, alright? I had to draw y'all in on that one, but it's not what you think it is. Alright, so it's not a debate. It's not a gender wars conversation. This is some serious, real talk, and it's gonna be a very broad subject, you know. So I encourage you to go back and watch this video in different parts if you need to. Watch it as many times as you need to and meditate on it. And as always, y'all know my motto: take what resonates, throw away what don't. All right. I'm not trying to convert you to my beliefs or any kind of form of religion or anything like that. This is coming from the heart, coming from the mind. All right. So, but I think y'all gonna get some nuggets from this. And before I get started, I like to get you guys comments, on this conversation and other conversations, but more of broader conversations. I like to get some, broader opinions and perspectives. And if you're comfortable, drop your experiences. So give me a like, subscribe, share the video, do the hell you want with it. Just do it in positive nature, I ask. All right. So let's jump right into it. Man versus woman. So I'm coming from both angles and just breaking down, the nature, of both genders. I kind of touched on this a bit in a prior, video. I think it's Return to Innocence, but that wasn't really the main topic. Well, I'm going in on this, and I'm gonna start with men. Okay, men. Here's the thing about it, y'all. And I know there's a lot of fellows out there who's watching this that's, that has a lot of balance in their life or pursuing balance, and even those who, who's in the learning process, the developing process. This is for everybody. I know a lot of you guys can relate to it, and I challenge you all, especially the fellas, to really meditate on this. You know what I'm saying? Um, but a lot of men are not familiar with their masculine nor their feminine energy for the most part. Now, when I say this has nothing to do with, you know, your sexual preference and stuff like that. This is just nature of the beast. And a lot of this has been, implemented by systems to keep both genders away from their natural state. I'm gonna give some examples. When boys are born into the world, they're exposed to so much stuff. They're exposed to sex very early on, more than people realize. It can start even from that damn preschool or even earlier than that, because you're dealing with the nature of your parents. You hear these conversations. Children have very sensitive memories. It's like computers. They download everything. They're watching everything. They're so inspired. Because some people can remember things. I know I can remember things when people say back when you was, 2 or 3 years old. And that carries over. Now, you're also dealing with a lot of habits from your parents, both the father and the mother. So as time progresses, look how much exposure you're exposed to. Fellas, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to sex, it comes to pornography, it comes to the subliminal, little messages and little shit they be hiding in cartoons and all that stuff. It comes from, conversations you have, you hear from adults. Sex is all around you. That's the system or the low dimensional realm. Plane, 3D world, whatever you want to call it, or everybody's calling it, that most people have grew up in, and it's to keep you far away from the nature of who you are. Fast forward into high school, and you seeing this casual conversation with your homeboys about what girl you're gonna hit, who look this. So you're not seeing a woman from a perspective you need to see her really from the masculine state. You're attracted to her naturally because you're naturally a masculine person. But are you in your masculine energy? That's two different things. You see what I'm saying? Now, we go back to being exposed to much unbalanced sex and, conversations and the vibes, the nature, and the environments that plays a part. You're seeing TV shows about scandals more than it is about anything else. You know what I'm saying? Um, you have, mentors or homeboys, or you have your father, that's, does what he does. Look at the influences that you have on your life that the common man has in his life. Now, we can go to the suburbs, we can go to the projects, we can go to the trailer homes, we can go to anywhere, dealing with, especially in the Western culture, America. All right. When a man, his first inspiration for the most part, he's longing for is a father type figure, big brother type figure, a mentor, a role model. You see what I'm saying? He's looking for that. He's going to get that some kind of form of fashion, either whether it's at home or whether it's at the workplace, whether it's in the streets, whether it's a coach. It's going to be something. It could be a celebrity on TV. It could be his favorite athlete. It's going to be something because he needs that. He needs influence and inspiration and guidance how to develop it into his manhood. Okay. Now, some men are more sensitive to the other, but naturally, we all long for that. That's our nature. You see what I'm saying? So, for the common person that's growing up in them type of households that I mentioned, look at what kind of father figure. We can go to the suburbs, right? You got the father that got this nice job. He might be a, guru tech and, had the trophy wife and, he got 3 children. And he got his, a son. They say his son is the middle child or the youngest. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? He's saying that, okay, my father, he's more material guy. He's going to gift me, with things just so I won't bother him. I ask for quality time because he's so busy. He's so embedded into his work. He treat my mom as a trophy wife. You know what I'm saying? I see her cry a lot of times because, the arguments he has with the way he talks to her, the way he ignores her. The arguments I hear about him, his infidelity and the women he has and all this stuff. Children are not dumb. They see that. Guys see that. They're downloading that. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times how they treat his mom is going to be a reference how he's going to subconsciously, treat a woman for the most part. You know what I'm saying? That might not be aggressive, but it's going to be, in his nature, some form of fashion, you know? Or you got the project dad who was an absent dad, in the urban environment, so a lot of times, um, the boy, he gravitates towards the streets. You know what I'm saying? Especially if there's some OGs out there who are on the dope game. You know what I'm saying? That's giving him some attention, regardless if you're trying to manipulate the dude or not. You know what I'm saying? Or it could just be something simple as a lot of guys, if they grew up in a single home with single mother, that's gonna be his role model. That's just gonna happen because he has an emotional attachment to her. He feels he has emotional duty to protect her because of what he's seen, the abuse growing up. Now, that's very admirable, that a lot of men are able to do that. It's very admirable to that woman to, most women gonna do that. You look at the animal kingdom, you know what I'm saying? You have a little chicken fight for her little chicks. If it was a snake came around, women just had that divine strength, man. That divine emotional strength to be there for their children. You know, but with anything, no matter how admirable, that, you know, um, responsibility you're taking on, you need balance with everything. And a lot of women know that. Because at the end of the day, a woman can teach a man how to tap into his masculinity. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. So if you see, the son sees his mom, crying and she's fussing, I'm gonna give an example of aggressive emotions. You see the mom very angry, right? You know, she's fussing and cussing a lot. It's a daily thing. She loves him, you know what I'm saying? But she's arguing. She's mad at the father. She's mad at her, her job. She's mad at her living, situation. She's mad at a lot of things. She's mad at her childhood. You know, all that stuff comes to the surface. That's part of her reality. You know, yeah, she drew off a lot of that for strength, but there's no balance there. And so the son is seeing that, And he's taking on a role in the sense of the father because of the responsibilities or the expectations she dumps on him, the arguments she has with him. So he's in his emotions more than anything. Hence, when he go out in the streets, when he's getting aggressive, he's fighting, shooting, all that stuff, he's acting on impulse from emotions, which derives from your feminine energy. You see what I'm saying? He's not really in his masculine energy as he should be. And a lot of people get that twist all because you got somebody with a big, a broad for physique. He's muscular, or he has, a deep voice. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. He's like he about his business. That doesn't mean that he's in his masculine nature. That's just a portion of the masculine image, which the external, the physicality of it, where the divine, you know what I'm saying, the energy, all that stuff come before it. The physicality just complements that stuff. You can have a 5'5" dude that look you in the eye, look your soul, and can intimidate the biggest motherfucker on earth because he's more imbalanced. He's intact who he is as a man, his masculinity. Now, I don't want to make it about a masculine versus feminine thing either, because both man and woman has masculine and feminine energies. I want to break this down real quick because this is very, very vital. Now, when I go to the man, since we're on that subject, right? A man has a masculine and feminine energy. Your feminine energy is the energy that you tap into for creativity. A lot of creativity is in feminine energy. For a man, it's not natural for us to be in our feminine energy, although we have it. It's for us to understand it. It's for us to protect it. It's for us to understand the nature of it to a degree so we can understand and accept and make a comfortable environment for a feminine companion. It's to pull creativity from. It's protect. It's all of that. And that's it. You're supposed to be in your masculine energy. You're supposed to operate in masculine energy. Same thing with the females. I get to the women in a minute. So we're going back to the man, and he's exposed to all this unbalance with his emotional energy, his emotional nature. So he's more in his feminine energy than he is in his masculine energy. How you think he's going to look at the woman? How you think he'll look at her intimately, especially when he's seen intimacy and sex. I'm going to say sex, y'all, because I don't know how sensitive YouTube is on that word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. I'll just use intimacy instead. When he's exposed to that stuff on an unbalanced scale. So you have all these mixtures that he's carrying on into adulthood. And when he's going out into what he call the real world, right? Well, we ought to know that world is waiting. It's like vultures out there. It's a system waiting to, chew you up and spit you out and go on to the next person. So it's not a homecoming. It's not a red carpet for you. So if you're not developing in the areas that you need to protect you and not make you your own enemy and help you from bad decisions, then you're going to implement everything that you've learned, everything that you've been influenced by in the world that you go into, or that particular reality was based on systems that's unfair. So you're not equipped to be a healthy, intimate partner. You know what I'm saying? You haven't really operated in your logic, which is more natural for a man. Your mental state, your mental game. That's very important. But I say that without casting judgment or nothing like that. That's just pointing out facts that a lot of people kind of shy away from, or it's a conversation is not as common. You see what I'm saying? There's always a cure to anything. And one important thing is you have the energy within you to overcome anything. And my next point is validating that, because it goes to, you have that experience of the darkness as you develop that light. So you have that advantage going forward. It's never too late. Time hadn't passed. If you're still breathing, you're still living, you still desire life, the better things in life, you have enough, years on you, and you haven't given in completely to, that unbalance, or you want to call it wickedness or malevolent ways, or you want to call it weaknesses, then there's always that chance. It might be more challenging based on your situation and based on how long you've been in that rut. But again, you have that advantage of that knowledge of that darkness, those mishaps. You see what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't matter what environment you come from, that you've been exposed to something. You know what I'm saying? I don't do all that silliness, that being tricked, and because you come from this, you come from the hood, and you know what I'm saying, you're more capable of being successful, you're born of a man, and you come from the trailer home, you come from the suburbs, and all because Jonathan has inherited, what his father's had, he's A-okay, he's their man, shucks, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, every man in any situation is vulnerable to a point till you develop as a man. That's just how it is. You see what I'm saying? So we're going forward to, how can we fix this, right? It's as simple as taking them steps, man. You call them baby steps, simple steps, right? If you're in an environment that doesn't reflect anything about what you need to be, get out of the environment. Go stay with a family member if you need to. That's across the city, or save up enough money and get you a little job, and move to another apartment complex, the solar opposite of the apartment complex or your living circumstances that was really down for you. That really was a negative effect for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you stand in the gutter, go live in the suburbs, or go live in an apartment complex where, there's predominantly Hispanics. As long as it's a decent environment, there's no silliness going on for the most part. You see what I'm saying? It gets you in that mental state, and it helps you out a whole lot, because that environment plays another character. It's extremely important. If you got a job, get a job in a whole different area, where you don't have that distraction. Because what it helps you become more culture. It helps takes away those unnecessary distractions. It helps your focus, which is very important for a man, because he needs to be developing healthy logic, his mental state. You see what I'm saying? Meditate. Look at all your issues that you have and deal with it from a logical standpoint of view. It's hard to disengage from people who've had influences on you in a negative way, right? But do that bit by bit. Get around people, learn more, read books, get outside your comfort zone. You become more healthy. You develop an aura that people will start noticing, and the universe will start bringing you things that you need. It will help you. It will get your tools to elevate. Then you start elevating into your kingship. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the way you observe. People know, okay, there's something about this guy, that he has a lot of experience, and, he has a quality about himself. He values himself. You see what I'm saying? Now, another thing I want to point on real quick about men is when it comes to the sex. Now, a lot of men are not familiar with their sexuality. Stay with me. I told you we go deep with these topics, y'all. This is real talk, because I want to hit on some things that, for the most part, it's not talked about, to make you think. It's not to cast no judgment by no means. I promise you. It's to make you think, especially for the fellas. All right? A lot of men are not familiar with their sexuality. What I mean, it goes back to everything I just said, right? He's been exposed to what sex has been in a corrupted way, basically since the day he was born. So he doesn't see that woman from a point of view that he should see her to have a healthy sexual relationship with her, or even approach. You know what I'm saying? He has a mom that's been so emotional, had all the emotional anger, you know what I'm saying, that communicates with him like that. He hasn't had the father figure, the healthy father figure, or even big brother figure in his life to inspire him, you know what I'm saying, to help guide him on that path of manhood. He's distracted by so many things at the workplace, you know, sex, 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 sex. He's around a lot of unhealthy women for the most part, because a lot of times things that gravitate you, it's a reflection of who you are. He's been in the relationships. So 95% of what's been around him when it comes to intimacy has been corruption. And he's more his feminine energy when it comes to the perspective of intimacy than he is his masculine energy. So he's going to see that woman the way he would want to be satisfied if he was a female, because he's in his feminine energy. Crazy, right? I kind of broke this down in the prior video, but we're going in, and I'm challenging everybody to meditate on that, even if it's not, you know, a situation that you're dealing with. It's just something to think about, something that you can help people out with yourself. You know, people that you might know, or it just might be thinking like, man, why a lot of dudes like that? It's many reasons. I'm just coming from a whole different perspective. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna hit it from the back, blah 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 blah. Hey, bro, you're not seeing the way you should see her. You're seeing yourself. You're in your emotions. They say that's your dick talk, right? That's how it is for a lot of men when it comes to intimacy. Men, fellas, some of the best intimacy you can get from a woman is to letting her initiate that. I promise you, bro, it'd be something you've never experienced, because you're in your masculine energy. She's naturally attracted to masculine energy, right? She's looking for comfort. Understand that from a lot of women. You know, a lot of times, you know, it's ever since they was girls, even in the corrupted systems, you know, they kind of brainwashed them, had them their little fairy tales and this and that. It's kind of, they have unrealistic, you know, expectations because the way they was brought up, systems. So it's not really coming from their ego. It's all what they've known. But that natural desire for comfort, emotional comfort, that's who they are. And you should value that in them. But they should be balanced with that. You see what I'm saying? So when she's intimate with you, and the more comfortable she is, the more she's able to express herself intimately. The more she's able to nurture you when it comes to intimacy, which all men need. We need that. When a woman nurtures you, and she's in her natural state of being a nurturer, that's one of the best gifts she can give a man, because what a man is dealing with. I promise you. Smooth like butter, babe, I promise you. You can't go wrong with that. But how often is a woman in her natural state of being comfortable around any man that's not a man that she's not already with, even man that she is with? She's more comfortable with her children if she has a son than she is with, you know, a mate, a potential mate. Because it's not an intimate she's trying to be with us. It's just more, you know, the son is he's more innocent in her eyes, and he's not intimate with her. You see what I'm saying? She has more influence on him. She knows him more. She's able to teach him in ways to protect her, to protect, you know, other women based on teaching him how to treat a woman if she's in a healthy state to do that. But she still can't teach him how to be a man. I'm just talking about how comfortable she is. Fellas, if you realize how effective that is, or how important that is for a woman, you know, especially when it comes to intimacy, but, you know, she will gift you in ways will blow your mind when it comes to intimacy. Let her initiate it. Develop the power of conversation. All right. Now, I'm going to transition to women here in a second. But this subtopic conversation, it goes for both man and woman. Shit, just for the human race in general, because it's a dying art. Conversation is so powerful. It sets the tone for so much stuff. It helps create a reality that a lot of people are trying to escape from. It helps you understand your companions even more, or your potential mate even more. It helps you learn more about yourself. It becomes like a sanctuary. You see what I'm saying? It inspires you. All the above. But the world is out there now for the most part. Low dimensional realm, plane, 3D world, whatever you want to call it. You look at conversation, and everybody take a moment and think about how conversation, you all know how it is. You really ain't got to really think about it. It's more artificial than it is genuine. Man, I'm going to DM him. I'm going to DM her. People get together and they have a quick little quickie, you know what I'm saying? A quick little fling, just getting on Facebook, DMing somebody, sending them pics. Haven't heard their voice one time. You see what I'm saying? Or text messages. How much do people communicate through text messages now, rather than picking the phone up and calling somebody? How often do you talk to that person on a daily basis and hear he or she's voice, that carries a frequency of energy, that's more relatable, that's more comfortable naturally compared to a whole conversation or argument that you might have via text. Now, a lot of that is by design, by systems, so it's not faulting nobody or nothing like that. But that's where a lot of things have transitioned to. And shout out to people who still do that, that have the natural conversation, that know the power of conversation. It starts there. So a lot of times, man, we are more logical by nature. That's one of your strengths. It should initiate things that she's not familiar with or it's not common to her. That doesn't mean she doesn't like it, bro. Even if it's new to her. She's looking for something that helps her comfort zone. She's looking to see where your leadership's at in the areas that you lead. Help create an environment for her where she can thrive. And when she's comfortable, she will reward you in ways that you need. All right? So now we're going to transition to the females. All right? Stay with me, y'all. Like I said, if you need to chop up this video, go back and look up certain portions of this, but it's a little lengthy than the other ones. And that's by design because of the nature of this subject. Okay? Ladies, we're going to jump in, right? A lot of times we go back to the ladies in their comfort zone, right? Where are they comfortable? The reason why they're needing that comfort, because they are emotional by nature. They're emotional creatures, which derive from their feminine energy. Now, I don't do the whole gender thing. This is not a topic about, what's your gender reference, or you want to be called. That's a whole different subject. I'm talking about things that I'm familiar with, things that I grew up seeing before a lot of transitions happened in culture. And this is not me casting judgment on anything you prefer to be. This is this particular subject and those who relate to this particular topic. All right. So ladies, you need that comfort, right? Because that's who you are, and rightfully so. And a lot of that comes from what you have experienced. Like men have had their own experience from a perspective of a boy, of a male. You have your own thing, but you see everything from an emotional point of view, as you should. Now, that can derive from how you see women being treated, that you grew up watching your mom, how your dad treated your mom, or your dad not being there, not only for your mom, but also for you, for protection. A lot of women long for that father figure, because of that protection, that comfort zone, all the above. So she naturally has that in her that carries her adulthood. And she's gonna be drawn to a lot of men that has that essence about them, or potential essence, because she hasn't really developed in that area. I call it arrested development for both men and women, with things they haven't really, had that privilege to grow in. That just is what it is. You see what I'm saying? Um, Women are your natural nurturers. When they're not able to nurture you, they pull it back and they keep that energy. But see, that energy could transform to something else. It can transform to anger. It can transform to bitterness, and not elevation. And a lot of ladies that think you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? For a woman, you look at the animal kingdom, right? Women are naturally pursuers for their mate. I ain't about to get into no debate about, hey, the man got to approach her, or she got to approach the man. I'm talking from a whole different perspective to challenge anybody's ego that need to be challenged right now. Let's throw all that shit to the side, right? Let's throw the TikTok videos and other, YouTube videos telling you how to play games and to manipulate, and don't text her back. If she text you, give her about 2 hours, hit it back and say, hey, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? A girl, you go to your girlfriend and you talking about, I think he's this girl, he might be too good to be true. Fuck all that. This is not that type of conversation, because we had too much of that. And 90% of that's toxic. No shade thrown to anybody that operates that way. But I'm talking to the human soul right now. Let this resonate. All right? A lot of times women are dealing with things that are not helping their logic. Mental games being played with to manipulate them. Now, this is not no sad story. This is not violence planned for the women. Same as just about they only the victims. No, this is things that are happening because they're targeted a lot. Both men and women can be victims to a lot of things. Men are victims to a lot of what women does, of being hurt and other things. But going back to the females, they're targeted a lot. They don't have a lot of capacity, logic capacity that they operate in or develop in as a man, because that's his strong suit. Same thing as a man. He don't have that capacity to understand his emotions, to not be in his emotions like that. You see what I'm saying? So she's vulnerable to a sense. And she go through those seasons from her teenage years of her first boyfriend, her first one, you know what I'm saying, into her adulthood, into the real world, and she go into the dating, and, the failed relationships and this and that. She's around these vultures. And in time she becomes bitter. Or she becomes more reserved, more distant, sometimes celibate. You see what I'm saying? She developed those barriers, those walls, it could be a tricky thing now. It's a difference be able to carry yourself with a sense of protection than having unhealthy barriers, because those barriers are not natural. Ladies, challenge yourself, right? We all know about them barriers. If it's something that you haven't experienced or not going through, I'm sure you probably know somebody that does. If you don't know about it personally, I'm sure you've seen the TV shows and the movies based on those subjects, right? Ask yourself, where those barriers come from. You really ain't gotta go in too far, because you already know for the most part. But really, really, really meditate on that. Do a little exercise. Write down at least 5 things that are the key reasons why you have these impregnable barriers, right? It can be neglection from your father. It can be abuse. It can be failed relationships. You know what I'm saying? It can be all that stuff. Get one of them, circle it. All right? It could be failed relationships. Forget the rest of them for a minute. Look at it for 5 minutes and meditate on those failed relationships. Throw the sheet of paper in the closet if you need to. Don't even think about it no more. The next day, do the same thing. Challenge yourself. I don't want to say force yourself because that can be very sensitive topics for a lot of people, or it can be very challenging to do. But give yourself a healthy challenge. See it as a fun exercise to deal with because you say, hey, I'm getting excited about something that has been holding me down for so long. You know what I'm saying? That's killing my potentials. That's really blocking, chances for me to really, have that special person in my life. Self-evaluation is more important. We always hear the typical term, hey, you gotta take accountability. That's true, but accountability can be very challenging. It's not that people don't want to take accountability. It's something that it could be a kryptonite for a lot of people because you haven't really been taught how to. When somebody just deem judgment on you, hey girl, you need to get your shit right. You know what I'm saying? He a good man. You need to take accountability. All that might be true, but have some balance with that approach. Those scars, they come from places where accountability had nothing to do with it. The person who hurt that person haven't taken accountability on themselves and targeted that person and made her his victim or vice versa. So when I say accountability, I'm gonna go deeper with it. You had a benefit of the doubt of the surface area, right? Level, right? I get it. But let's challenge that. Let's go beneath the surface and say, okay, is this something I really want for the rest of my life? Let's not approach it as taking accountability. Let's approach it as challenging yourself. The accountability will naturally take care of itself. But make it fun. Keep it to yourself. Do those exercises for a few days, 5 minutes. You circle, the reason that one reason why you're so bitter, right? Those barriers are so tight, right? Start extending that exercise. Give it 10 minutes. Whatever you need to do, if you need to cry, if you need to scream to the heavens, you need to go for a walk, to be in that emotion. You know what I'm saying? For the time you need to do it, don't rush it. Do it. Do it. It might seem like it's taking forever, but what you're doing, you're purging yourself. Let's go for the fellas too now. But I'm sticking to this point because, the emotional state of women. They're in emotions more than anything. So challenge your emotions. Purge all that shit out your system. And eventually those exercises, you find other creative ways to extend that exercise where you bring in some real legitimate healing to yourself. Now you can go, to the other thing that's circled. It could be abuse. Now you're able to deal with it. You're taking those baby steps. You're confronting it in a sense. You're bringing healing to it. All right. When you do that, that's bringing that healing. That's uplifting a lot of things. And on top of that, now you have energies around you that are starting to be purified. And if it's low dimensional entities, demonic forces, or what you want to call it, they start shying away from you because you're not operating on that low dimensional, plane anymore, or that mental state, emotional state. They can't feed on it no more. So they start to shy away more and more. They might try to bring situations around you or those people, that trigger certain things, but you're growing in strength now that natural protection is in your energy field. You start elevating. There's a difference between being isolated and being alone just to protect yourself out of insecurity. Isolation could be a very beautiful thing. You learn so much about yourself in isolation. There's so much development, so much growth, healthy isolation. There's a difference between being lonely and being alone. You have the strength to be alone for the seasons you need to be alone. Even if you're in a relationship with somebody, you just need alone time. That's an inner strength that's undeniable. That's a protection like no other. You see what I'm saying? So going back to the women, Try those exercises, whatever you need to do to develop those areas where you're able to pull those bricks away from that wall. All right. And that's not saying that you're doing that to make yourself vulnerable. That's not saying that, oh, I need to, act on impulse and go out there and try to pursue and get a relationship. No, it's developing first. It's becoming healthy before you're able to do that. Pursue yourself first. Think outside the box. But give yourself some grace. That's most important. All right. That's why I said, the whole accountability. A lot of people have a lot of good intentions of telling you what you should be doing or what they think you should be doing. But it's really not balanced a lot of times how they approach you because they're not you. Give some solutions, some genuine solutions that's simple. Not every damn thing gonna be in a book you read. They can be beneficial, but a lot of times it's simple approaches. All right. Now, ladies, I know a lot of you looking for that dream man, right? I'm not gonna say you're delusional. I'm just saying you've been in a delusional system that feeds that desire, that hasn't complemented that desire. It got you on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That man is there. I promise you. You look at the animal kingdom, right? Do you think lions and tigers and all them shit, people that mate and bulls and cats, you think they worried about what kind of partner they got, a companion they got? Are they complaining about it when they get with them? Nah. A female lioness, she's the pursuer of her mate. You never see a male lion going looking for a female lion or lioness. You never see a bull in the pasture going looking for a cow. He has them around him. The reason why she does that, you say the lioness, right? She's seeing what mate is worthy of her. Also, she wants to have a family with his mate. She wants to go to the warrior that's going to be protective. She's seeing his battle scars. She's sizing him up for a distance because she found him. So he might got a little reputation of scrapping in the jungles, you know what I'm saying? Whooping ass, being that man. It took him years to develop though. And she sees all that. If he was some little punk ass lion, she gonna go about her business. But when she pursues him, guess what it is? It's comfort. She's looking for comfort. And that's a natural thing when they get together, because she knows when she gets with him, he would die for her. Anything coming to his pride, fucking with his woman, he'll die for it because he's a fighter. So we go back to the natural state, right? Everything in the human point of view has been warped. It's been flip-flop. It's been the opposite. Man should be the pursuer. He should do this and that. Now, I'm not getting into no debate, y'all. I'm challenging both sides to really see this from a different perspective. Get out your ego. Can you really challenge yourself after you watch this video and say, damn, my approach to men has been manufactured by something as an illusion. It really don't come from me. Men, can you say the same thing? Hey, I run game on Shouter because of this and that. Where's that lingo coming from? That coming from your pop? That's coming from your favorite actor, from your favorite movie back in the day? That's coming from your homeboys? Or is that coming from you? We're going to get into some real talk. It's time to take this shit to a different level. Because I promise you, when you're able to see the truth and operate in a whole different perspective that's genuinely you, it's liberating. You get everything you need and everything that you want. Life become like a damn drink because you become the abundance. The universe say you're worthy of it because you step into your true queenship, your true kingship. It's getting out that illusion of what you think you should be doing, how you've been operating. All right. So we're going to go back to the females. We're going to wrap this up, right? For the ladies, we're going to go back to the dream man you want, right? He's there. But are you worthy of what you're wanting? Be careful what you want. Are you that person that still hurt? Hurt people hurt people. I'm gonna put you on something, ladies. When you're able to identify certain men, I'm gonna say certain species of men, all right, we gonna have fun with it. That rare man is gonna stand out from any other man that you ever seen, probably your whole life. And it could be something that you see from a distance in the grocery store. And you might never see that man again. His aura is going to stand out. Aura, I'm not talking about this magical glow. No, I'm talking about, all his characteristics. It could be the way he talk. A lot of time it's going to be the way he walk. It's going to be slow. He's observant. Yeah, he's not jittery. You know what I'm saying? He's very calm. He's slow with his reactions. He's going to have a natural deep voice for the most part. Um, he's going to keep himself up. That's not saying he's going to be flashy and all that stuff. A lot of that comes from hard work from him. Years of not having a lot. You know, a lot of years of not really being privileged. And I'm not saying that you don't have the privilege, man. It's not the same, man. You have them too. But there's some that's going to be different from men who haven't been privileged, but look like they got everything now. They have experience. And more importantly, they have challenged themselves from all the rough experiences, the hardships, to not the finer things in life because they value themselves. They appreciate themselves to survive in things that almost killed them, almost destroyed them mentally. You see what I'm saying? More importantly, they value their peace. They value their peace more than any dollar they got in their pocket or their bank account, any car they drive, any home they have. Companions that they value that peace because they know what it took to get there. And for a man, he operates in his logic and he needs his peace more than anything. So the thing about, can you complement his peace? You're going to see that all on his aura. He's not stuck up. He might be distant because he's respecting space. You're in the line, he might even offer you to go first if you ain't got many groceries. You know? If you speak to him, he's going to speak back. He's not going to be all happy-go like a puppy because you're attractive. You might got the wide hips. You might got that ass. You might be, queen bee. But he's going to look at you where you need. He's going to observe you. He's going to look at you. He's going to admire your beauty, but it's going to be about his business. Because he don't have time for the ego. Because guess what? His ego has been challenged. And he's challenging the ego every day. He's went to humble university. He's operating in confidence, which a lot of men don't operate in. A lot of men operate in facades, illusions of the ego, which a woman can really read. She just play the game a lot of times. But women, how many times you come around men that really operate in genuine, divine confidence? It's very rare. You would know it. So when you see that, you're seeing the essence of a king, a real king. And he's not trying to showboat that he is. He values himself. So naturally, he's going to challenge you to value him. He's not about the games. Understand that. If you have an opportunity to have conversations with these type of men, potentially develop some kind of relationship or connection, don't come with the games, lady. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. A lot of times it's a test. A lot of times the universe is testing you to say, okay, you've been praying, you've been shouting, you've been crying to yourself to sleep. You've been bitter all these years. Now that you're trying, we're going to test the waters and see what you can handle. And the universe will bring this opportunity and see how you handle it. Don't fuck it up. When I say don't fuck it up, I'm saying from a sense of ego. I'm saying so the old version of you, a version of you that the world has developed with false illusions, with hurt. Everything that you pursue, everything that you want with aggression, stemming from all that, which is low dimensional energy. That's why doing the healing we talked about earlier is so important. Because it helps you appreciate what you need to appreciate. First yourself, and then you can appreciate the confidence. You can appreciate this real king that you see. Because I promise you, he's very observant. He knows what you're about in that first 10, 20 seconds of the conversation because he's in his logic. That's his protection. He might, tolerate you for a second to see, okay, where is this going? You know what I'm saying? He might make you think like you think you playing a game, and he might entertain you for a second, just listening to you, giving you just a little bit of his attention. But he already knows within that first minute what that relationship's gonna be like, or if it will be a relationship, or if you ever hear from him again. Or he's like, all right, we can go on another date. He's gonna let you have the floor. Be careful, women, with men who are quiet, who are great listeners, because they want to know everything that you're about. Because guess what? 9.5 times out of 10, you're gonna tell them everything about who you are, because it's who you are naturally, and that's cool. You guys are natural socialists. Women are. You know what I'm saying? And it could be fun. But what are you bringing to that table with conversation? The power of conversation. You go back to that again. You see what I'm saying? Women, let's not get it twisted. Don't be in your ego. How many women that you know, even for yourself, and say that women are not intimidated by those type of men? They are. And a lot of times it's some of the most flashy, flamboyant women out there who are. Because they've been so used to the ego trap, the illusions. They've been so pampered by men that are not on that level. So they get around somebody that had that king-like aura about them. It's intimidating. You know what I'm saying? As it should be if they need to be, if they're in their ego. But if they're genuine, you got your good match. So ladies, I promise you, take heed to that type of advice. Don't play games with them type of men. You don't even play games with anybody, period. But do not approach that man as you approach the men if you know him that hasn't been on that type of level. They what they say, like your rare unicorns. You got men and women are like that. Rare unicorns. Same thing, man. You're around women that's in that healthy state, that's in their queenship. Don't try to manipulate them, bruh. Because they see it a mile away. That's a missed opportunity from both sides. So going back to the females real quick. Don't be scared to approach men, ladies. I want to make that point. Challenging your ego. I'm going to challenge any ego. I don't shy away from that because it's coming from a genuine state. I know how valuable and how important it is. A lot of it's coming from experience. Ladies, don't be afraid to approach men. But what is your approach? See, a lot of times when we say that, a lot is people get sensitive or they go straight to their ego. Nah, he supposed to approach me. Again, any action that you do, question it. Why do I feel this way? Why do I think he need to approach me? A lot of times when you jump into being sensitive or that barrier, that's coming from some kind of insecurity. Am I lying? Real talk. Take a breath. Be a big girl. It might be some fun for you. Something that you develop, it becomes a strength because you haven't really exercised that. A lot of times women, when they don't approach something, it's coming from insecurity or it's prejudgment. Or he's just like the rest of them, or he got this going on. I'm sure he got all these women, all that shit. Or he need to preach they're in their ego. Now shout out to the ladies now that that thing that's totally different. That does a lot of this stuff. But a lot of them women are very successful. They have that man that they always desire. And it's a rarity. They live in the life they want to live. It's not a gender war thing because both have responsibilities. That man has to be healthy. That man has to be in that kingship. A lot of times you got to go through hell to get there. But when he knows it's a healthy woman in his energy field and it's a presence, I promise you, ladies, you're going to have experience that you never had before. You're going to think it's a dream. You have to pinch yourself sometimes. You might have the moments like, damn, man, hold up, man. When he going to flip on me? When Dracula going to come out? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde up in this motherfucker. All right, that's your gift. That's your reward. You pursue things every day, right? You pursue a job. You consuming everything. You go to the vending machine, you pursuing that Snicker bar. You're pursuing food when you go to the grocery store. You're pursuing going paying them bills. You pursue everything else in life. You pursue being a parent, a good parent. So why not that? Think about it. It's systematic. It's something to flip the game on you, to keep you away from who your what you're needing, what you deserve. When you make that leap, when you're developing in good health, to be deserving of that. But it'd be simple for you because when you see that man, you won't be afraid to approach. If you really take that leap, he's going to have a calmness about him. He's going to have a sense of protection around him. You're going to know he values himself, so you're going to value everything around you. But if he values himself, we talking about those type of men, right? What we just broke down in that grocery store. If he values himself and his peace, and you all develop a relationship, you don't think he's going to value you? We go back to the line of lioness. She has that mate, and they get together. He will risk his life for her. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be his number one priority, because you shouldn't. He already has his priorities. But you complement everything that he's doing. Companionship and vice versa. You see what I'm saying? Fellas, let that woman do what she do. See what she's about. If she has potential to be a good mate for you, see what it's about. Don't lower your standards though. All right? So what I mean by that is, a lot of times women are going to be thorough researchers, investigators. Women that's used to, and a lot of times, I'm going to say this, fellas, it can stem from insecurity, but look at it from what she's been used to, why she acts that way. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times, and be straight up and honest with her. That's your test for her. When you're being honest, she's not used to that. A lot of times you're setting boundaries when you're honest, and also be very private about things that you don't care to share about. Now, there's a difference, ladies and men, especially ladies. Listen to what I'm saying. All because men are private, that doesn't mean that he's hiding something. Now, mind you, you have a lot of men, Pookie and Ray Ray's on that bullshit. You can tell they about them games, and they're hiding things because the nature of lifestyle they live, the way they carry themselves, the facade they have. But a lot of men who are about their business are private because of things that they've worked on, things they hold dear to them, things that you have to gain his trust if he wants to share this with you. It's things that he values. That's two different things. That's missed so many times, and people getting their feelings. Well, he won't tell me this. I ain't even fooling with him, and you just missed the opportunity. You just prejudged this person. If the dinner was cool, the conversation's been cool, the weeks of, you can't stop talking about him all because he don't share a certain thing, and he telling you that I keep that private for my own reasons, and you don't sense nothing off about that. It's a respect thing. He's valuing something. You should have appreciation to that. That's very important, ladies. I can't tell you how many times that happens with a lot of females when they prejudge that. And women, you know what I'm talking about. Ladies, you have a tendency to do the prejudgment based on things you've been through, based on insecurities you're dealing with. It's understandable. You know what I'm saying? Definitely get it. But that doesn't mean that it's the right action. That's why that healing is important. So the very last thing is, fellas, going back to, let her show herself. Let her talk. Let her tell you all about, who she is, things that she like, all that stuff, the power of conversation. Let her get comfortable. That's what she's longing for. Now, she's gonna do the whole Facebook stalking thing. If you got an Instagram, you're on social media, she gonna find you. She gonna look at your pictures, bro. She gonna look at your posts. She gonna look what kind of things you like, what kind of sports you like. She gonna try to estimate what kind of women is probably in your life. She gonna look at the pictures you took with the women. You know what I'm saying? She gonna look at all that. That's just what she's naturally gonna do because in the system she's been in. All right. She gonna have her moments of doubts. She might hit up a girlfriend, but like, I don't know about this, blah, 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 blah. She might get a little jealous. You know what I'm saying? All that, let her go through all that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not your responsibility. That's not for your concern. But she's going to do that for the most part. A lot of times it can come from insecurity, but aside from all that, she's looking for some comfort. She want to be comfortable with this person. Terrified to be comfortable with some person, letting her guard down because she don't want to get fucked over. You see what I'm saying? One more thing, ladies. When you're having conversations with a man, it's okay to ask questions, but try not to interrogate him. Try not to compare him to other men you've known. And I'm going to challenge you with this. The questions you ask, you want to ask yourself, even you have to do an exercise. What kind of question will I ask a man? What kind of questions are you asking him? And think and dissect that question for you ask. Where is this question coming from? Is this coming from a sense of insecurity or is it genuine? For example, ladies, you ask a man, what kind of women does he like? Compared to how many women you've been with. You see what I'm saying? Two different things. What's that second question coming from? What's the tone from that? Even if you're smiling, what's the aggression behind that? Baby daddy did something to you? Caught him cheating? Went through his phone? Seen what you seen? Seen what your dad did to your mom? That's coming from a place of insecurity that has nothing to do with him. Versus, what kind of women do you like? That's a genuine question. Now you in his logic field. And he loves that. He's like, okay. Yeah, man, I like women that's about their business. That can hold a conversation. You know what I'm saying? She ain't gotta cook for real, but you can get down a little bit because I like to cook. You know what I'm saying? That loves anime because I love anime. You know what I'm saying? Or all that. He's gonna tell you everything you need to know. It's coming from a genuine place. All right, y'all. So this is the longest video I've ever made. And I'm sure I had some other, subjects I could have threw in there for this overall topic, but I think we over an hour on this one, and I don't want to go too long. I might extend this topic in a whole different video. We'll see. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Feel free again to drop those comments and opinions. And also, if you guys want me to really touch on some other topics, it don't matter what that topic is, feel free to comment and what you would like me to get my perspective on. I'm down with it. All right. Hey, y'all keep the light bright. Keep your head up. Stay stress free. Keep elevating. All right. Be easy. Be cool. Until next time. See ya.